It is the longest-running television ministry in history, the Hour of Power, broadcast from the Crystal Cathedral in Garden Grove, California. And to millions of viewers, this Sunday program became known for the charismatic preaching of Dr. Robert H. Schuller and for the lavish holiday productions they put on. So how, then, did America's original megachurch come to find itself $50 million in debt? David Wright reports for our series, Faith Matters.
At the Crystal Cathedral in Garden Grove, California, the theme of worship yesterday was indebtedness.
Our ministry needs your prayers.
This was the first Sunday service since the church filed for bankruptcy, so the founder's message to his flock had special poignancy.
Never look at what you have lost. Never look at what you have left.
Over the past 50 years, Dr. Robert H. Schuller built this place from what was once a drive-in movie theater into America's original megachurch, complete with a weekly Sunday broadcast.
Join us for America's television church, the Hour of Power.
The Hour of Power, the first and longest-running television ministry in history. Schuller famously saved Evel Knievel.
The God you're praying to is never going to give you anything.
No, he wasn't. I was empty.
Upbeat and avuncular in that blue academic gown, he was one of the most recognizable preachers in America.
The solution is not to look at the problem, but to look at the possibilities.
At its height, his message of positive prayer reached an audience of millions.
The Tower of Hope.
The glory of Christmas and Easter pageants always featured live camels and donkeys.
I mean, you're fond of this place.
Oh my God, I love the place. It was so inspiring. You walk on that campus and you're just exhilarated beyond description the way it was. Now you walk on and you just feel heartbroken, just literally heartbroken.
The church is now more than $50 million in debt. Among the creditors left hanging, Christina Oliver.
So who's this?
This is Pistol.
Her family has provided the animals for the Christmas pageant for more than 30 years.
I gather they haven't been paying their bills.
Correct.
To the tune of, for you?
$57,000.
There you, $57,000.
Yes.
The Olivers lost their house after the church didn't pay up last Christmas. So this year, for the first time since Pistol's grandfather first appeared at the Crystal Cathedral, these animals won't be taking part in the annual pageant.
It's upsetting that a family representing the Lord is mismanaging funds and not stepping up to the plate.
The official explanation for the bankruptcy is that the bad economy has taken its toll on the church's support base.
Never before in the history of this country have so many churches been in bankruptcy. We face financial challenges too.
But insiders, including Dr. Schuller's son, Robert A. Schuller, tell a different story.
I think if I was still the leader there, it would be a different story today.
Robert A. had been groomed for years to succeed his father, but his tenure as senior pastor lasted barely 2 years until his sisters and brothers-in-law forced him out.
They said my sermons weren't adequate for the Hour of Power, and then by October they said I could preach any time other than Sunday mornings, and so with that I resigned. So you tell me whether I was kicked out or whether I resigned.
Sure.
I don't know.
I mean, it doesn't sound like like it was a happy parting of the ways.
Yeah, not really, no.
Robert A.'s daughter is even more blunt.
When you mix faith, family, and fame, it's a toxic combination. And people start vying for positions of power. And I think that's what led to the Crystal Cathedral crumbling.
Celebrate afternoons on the new ALN.
Robert A. Schuller now runs a successful Christian media network with his son-in-law called American Life TV that they recently purchased from the Unification Church. His daughter Angie has a website called spiritualwellness.com that helps victims of spiritual abuse.
Have you been hurt by a priest, pastor, or spiritual mentor?
A theme that, at least in these promotional videos, seems to hit close to home.
If you no longer feel safe in church, it's probably because someone tried to manipulate and control your experience with God. I launched spiritualwellness.com because we were able to move through the anger, through the sadness, and accept what is. Sometimes faith is letting go.
The Schullers who are still holding on at Crystal Cathedral include Angie's aunt, Sheila Schuller-Coleman, Robert H.'s daughter. As senior pastor, it fell to her to break the news of the bankruptcy in a press conference on the steps of the chapel.
Our ministry will continue as usual. The school will continue to be held here. Our television services will continue to be aired.
From the pulpit yesterday, she made it sound like she's simply channeling God's will.
The press conference was set for 3 o'clock. And at 5 minutes to 3, the Lord whispered in my ear. He said, "Dear daughter, don't you get it? I have given you all this free airtime so you can go give my message of hope."
The kids in the Schuller family were, I don't like to use the word coddled, but they were protected. They never got out there and had a chance to make it on their own.
Renowned musician Roger Williams played piano at Crystal Cathedral for free for 35 years until he abruptly quit this summer.
My dad gave me some real good advice. He said, "Son, don't ever get into bitter family fights." He said, "Nobody wins." I took his advice. I walked away.
It's fascinating, and it's tragic, and it's yet so human.
I cry thinking about it because I love it. It's my church.
And you miss it.
You bet I do.
For his part, Robert A. Schuller can envision a day when Crystal Cathedral may not have a Schuller at the helm.
Nothing lasts forever. And there's a season for everything under heaven, as it says in Ecclesiastes. A time to be born and a time to die.
It's one thing to read that in the gospel, quite another thing
to live it, huh? Yeah. Yeah, it is.
At the Crystal Cathedral now, they are living it under the supervision of a bankruptcy judge. I'm David Wright for Nightline in Garden Grove, California.
Faith, family, and fame there. Thanks to David Wright for that report. Up next, the 2 dirtiest words in politics today as the midterm elections move into the home stretch.